My guest today on Euronews' 12 Minutes With is the exiled Iranian Kurdish leader, Abdullah Muqtadi. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Euronews. Of course, at this stage, it's a month of this war between Israel, the United States, and Iran, because you know there has been speculation, even reports, that the Trump administration had suggested that perhaps you could join in this war against the regime in Tehran. Is there validity to those claims? Have you had those kind of conversations?
Well, it was not that serious. President Trump decided not to invite Kurds to take part in the campaign. We are still in defensive positions in Iraqi Kurdistan, and we have not crossed the border. We are under constant shelling by Iranian missiles and drones day and night for about a month now, but we are still in defensive positions.
So to that extent, then you are confirming plans were debated, perhaps casually, but there was an idea before the war started that you could join forces with Israel and the U.S. Those conversations happened with the Trump administration directly.
It was more an idea rather than a plan.
There's a lot of uncertainty around this operation, what kind of plans the U.S. has in mind, the timeline to the ultimate goal. But I wonder if they were to ask you the same question now, would you say, yes, we will switch from defensive to now offensive? Because that call could come.
It depends on the situation in Iran. We are Iranian Kurds. This is our homeland. This is our country. This is our land. This is our ancestors' land. So we have every right to return to our land. It depends how and when. It depends on the situation on the ground. If the Iranian regime is weakened enough, sufficiently enough, so that they can make no harm against the civilian people, against our forces, then yes, of course, we will be back on our land.
What you're saying is you could join in, but there needs to be conditions on the ground in which the regime in Tehran is sufficiently degraded, and you don't think that's the case at this stage?
The coalition of Iranian political parties, which we started almost a month ago before the war, is ready to cooperate with our people in Iranian Kurdistan. We can provide security. We can prevent chaos. We can prevent massacres by the Iranian security forces. And we are responsible political parties with massive support from among the Iranian Kurds and a very popular position among the Iranians altogether. So we will be ready to go back to our country.
Do you still have faith in the U.S. administration that they can achieve those strategic goals that they laid out at the beginning, which was a sort of regime change away from the hardliners and to destroy the nuclear threat?
If they weaken the regime enough, if they crush the security forces, the military-industrial base, not the civilian infrastructure, of course, we're not for that. But if they hit the Pastar and the Revolutionary Guards enough, then there maybe it can help the Iranian people to rise at some point. In fact, this war started 47 years ago by the Iranian regime. They stormed the American embassy in Tehran. They started terrorist activities all over the region in the Middle East. They massacred their own people. They destabilized the whole region. So they threatened Israel that they want to annihilate Israel. They wanted death to America. It's 47 years that they are shouting death to America. In fact, I'm not surprised that the war is happening because I expected it to happen even decades ago.
to be very specific, the Israelis did say they wanted to create the conditions on the ground for that to happen. The leadership obviously belongs to the Iranian people, but the U.S. did say that they could not work with the Ayatollah, and in fact, he's dead. They also say the Ayatollah Jr., that's how the Trump administration refers to the son, is an unacceptable choice. And they also say they're in talks with more reasonable people. So from the outside, it does look like a form of regime change. And I wonder, who are reasonable people for you? Do you have any names in hand?
No, I do not believe any figure in the existing Islamic Republic of Iran to be trustworthy.
No one, not even the head of the parliament, none of them. You say that will not work.
Of course not. No, there are butchers of Iranian people. They killed, more than a month ago, in January, they killed 32,000 people in 48 hours. They're butchers of the Iranian people. They're criminals. They're a bunch of criminals. We do not trust any of them. For us, Iranian people, including Kurdish people, we are for a democratic, secular Iran, an Iran that respects the rights of Kurds and other nationalities, and that respects democracy, that respects human rights, that respects international law. None of these figures in Iranian regime, existing regime, can achieve that, can be even near to that goal.
So then I wonder, if it's not from people already in Tehran, because they do not work for you and you say will not lead to a democratic, secular Iran, what about the opposition? Who is acceptable in the opposition? Because we are not seeing opposition externally, and there are no protests in Iran. That's not happening either.
There are credible oppositions
like who?
Inside and outside the country. Kurds are one of them. In fact, one of the main opposition forces for the past 47 years. We were against this regime. We did not accept the Islamic regime of Iran from the outset. And we are still fighting for our rights and for democracy in Iran. There are also Baluchis, there are also Azerbaijanis, Arabs, Persian people. People started protest movement many times in the past decades. So the Iranian regime has lost all vestiges of credibility and legitimacy.
What road do you see for the Europeans? Are you satisfied with the messaging coming out of Europe? In a way, they talk about de-escalating, going back to diplomacy, and at some point helping out to open the Strait of Hormuz, but not in the hot face of the war. Is that a message that you can abide to?
Europeans have pursued a policy of appeasement for decades now towards Iran. And it's a bankrupt policy. Iran is a menace not only for the United States, not only for Israel, not only for Arab countries in the region. It is a menace. It is a terrorist threat against Europeans as well. They should be more decisive. They should be more clear. They should join the United States in its effort to curb the Iranian influence and put an end to a regime that is a menace, a threat to its own people, to the region, and to the West. They're anti-American, they're anti-West, they're anti-everybody in the region.
So just so we understand, what you're saying is they should fight this war directly? They should engage militarily?
I'm not deciding for them, but they should put pressure on Iran. They shouldn't go for de-escalation with a regime that is a threat to everybody and to the international community. They should join, if not militarily, at least politically and economically. They should join force to put an end to this regime and help the Iranian people. That's what we expect the Europeans to do.
So in that sense, when President Trump is critical of the Europeans and he says they're not helping enough, is he right?
I'm speaking from the standpoint of the Iranian and the Kurdish people in Iran. We expect the Europeans to help the Iranian people, to help the Kurdish people, to help women, ethnic groups, religious minorities, everybody else. We are under pressure we have been under pressure and repression by the Iranian regime for decades now. Where are Europeans? Where are the human rights articles? They should have been more active, more pro-democracy in Iran, more pro-people and less decouple with Iran. They should put an end to the appeasement policy of appeasement. Yes.
So when you look at countries like Spain, I'm just wondering, the Spanish Prime Minister, what does that evoke to you? Because he said this war is illegal. Europe cannot join because this war is illegal.
Massacre is massacre legal? Is terrorism legal? The Iranian regime boasted a couple of years ago that they controlled 5 capitals in the region. And they have organized and financed and armed many proxies, terrorist groups in the whole Middle East. They are trying to annihilate Israel. They're trying to expel the United States and the West from the region. They're reshaping the region according to their adventurous illusions. So it's time for the Europeans to put an end to this policy of appeasement and take a more active pro-Iranian anti-regime policy.
And let me ask you just as a final question, the other big regional power, of course, is Turkey. Have you had any communications with President Erdogan? Of course, there's also been multiple reports that he does not want to see this war escalate and that he also doesn't really see a role for you. Are you having any direct communications or, if not, back-channel dialogue with the Turkish?
We've been trying to assure Turkey that we have no bad intentions against Turkey. We can be friends.
Okay.
We can be good neighbors, both in Iran and in Iranian Kurdistan with Turkey. So we are doing no harms to them. There is no reason for them to be concerned about our intentions and our policies in Iranian Kurdistan.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us on Euronews. Good to see you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.